This is quarterfinals, so you have to listen to my reply speech. It might change your decision. We have two questions in today's debate. First of all, how does it affect the perception of general public? And second of all, how does it affect the victims of this mental illness? Going to the first question, how it affects the general public. The general argument coming from opposition is that to the general public, it triggers acceptance because it humanizes those individuals through portraying their suffering. Ladies and gentlemen, the problem is they have never engaged to the point that I've laid down to you on first proposition, arguing that because of all of this artwork, the general public will only value them based on the possibility that they will be cured. Therefore, you value them not based on who they are, but on your expectation on who they might become. So when they are struck by the reality that Romario told you in his speech, it leads into the general public being impatient in dealing with all of these victims that have led into lots of people withdrawing themselves from programs that are meant to be connecting individuals from the ones who are mentally ill and the ones who are not. If these people leave, the victim will feel rejected and will only even worsen their condition. That's why we already argue it's better to have only several individuals, for example, family, for example, doctors, who will always be there for them. Because even though they are only small, at least they will never leave. If they leave, it's going to be much more harmful for these people. That's the reason why the government have already do that. That's the reason why government will always have the incentive. Because doctors, ministers of health, and all of these people will be the individuals who will always have the interest. It has already been established to you by Jeanne in her speech. That's the reason why, towards the general public, we think it's better for us to allow individuals not to have all of these false expectations, because all of these false expectations only leads to betrayal in the future. Going to the second question, how it affects the victim. On this side, generally opposition argue that these individuals deserve a happy ending, in which they also consider that it does not have, it doesn't mean that they have to be cured, but at least the fact that there are happy endings, they find lots of friends, they become accepted, any form of it. First of all, we already argued on how it creates an unrealistic standard of expectation that we cannot reasonably fulfill. Because we give this to, we impose all of these standards to individuals who are extremely vulnerable, not like soldiers, not like homosexuals. We're talking about people that can even differentiate hallucination and reality. All of these items will only feed the hallucinations in their mind that their expectation might become real. That will lead them into a point of self-blaming, even because once they think that they are not cured, they will think that it's because they do not work hard enough. That's because they don't pray enough. And that's because they do not have someone who loves them unconditionally. Ladies and gentlemen, all of this expectation will only lead into further harm to these people, a point I explained here on first proposition and has never been rebutted by opposition. Therefore, concluding this point, we argue that for the victim, it's better for us to understand that we do not need to feed them with anything that might create them to be disappointed in themselves. Because at the end, those disappointments will only push them away into health and push them away from being safe about themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, there are the things that I can change. There are the things that I cannot change. For example, if you have already made your decision by now, I might not be able to change that. So I revise my opening statement. However, the difference is, I have the capacity to differentiate what things I can change and what things I cannot. These people do not have the capacity. They might have a different way of thinking. That's why it's evil for you to distort the reality and hallucination in their mind. We are very proud to